Podcast, bringing you the latest news, recaps, and analysis of AEW and WWE. Get the unique perspective from a wrestling fan of over 25 years. Here's your host, Jaydee.
What's going on, guys? This is Jaydee here, and this is episode 98 of the WrestleBread Podcast. So if you're listening to me live, I was running a little bit late. Once again, I am having issues with the microphone, and you would think that I would set up a little earlier next time, but nope. I have yet to learn my lesson. So going on this weekend, I hope everyone had a nice Super Bowl weekend, whether you celebrated by yourself or if you celebrated with, a couple of friends, or if you decided to, say F it and have a full on Super Bowl party. For me, I kept it pretty, it was pretty much me and the hubs just watching it. We ordered some food from Applebee's. The kids weren't really that interested in the Super Bowl, and we sat there and watched it. And yes, Tom Brady has won the Super Bowl for the 7th time. Yes, I was a Tom Brady hater, and yes, I am still a Tom Brady hater. And the hate is even more because this dude single-handedly done turned a 7-9 team into Super Bowl champions. Now, I'm not going to knock off his talent. He's talented. But, just share a little bit of that talent with the rest of us common folks, really, he's about to run out of fingers for his Super Bowl rings. He's up to 7, and he sat there and said that he's coming back, and I turned into a little bit of the Miz girl, that we all have seen, the gif that we all have seen of the little girl who was very upset that the Miz have won. And, yeah, I'm a hater, and I'm gonna keep on hating, and I'm not ashamed to say that I'm a hater. Because you know that your girl is not going to jump on any bandwagons, which I'm sure we're going to see next year. All of a sudden, everyone's going to be a Tampa Bay fan. Let's see how many people can name people off the offense and the defense. You know what I'm saying? I wonder if the Patriots fans who were fans and, gloating all over about Tom Brady and stuff like that. If you have a few friends who are Patriot fans, check up on them next year. See if suddenly they have a Tampa Bay jersey with the number 12 on it. Because we know that's bound to happen. But going into the Super Bowl, we saw they had fans. A lot of people were very confused about the way the stadium looked. There were clearly cardboard cutouts of people. For $100, you can purchase a cutout, and you would be pretty much seen on TV. And they had live fans, and it was kind of hard to distinguish a little bit of the live fans versus the cardboard cutouts sometimes, because when the camera is focusing on what's going on in the field, it looks like the stadium is packed. People clearly need to get their eyes checked, because there was people going on Twitter sitting there saying, oh, the stadium is packed and the super spreader bowl and all this other stuff. Were there people there without a mask? Yes. Were they sectioned off? It seems like it was households or friends that, that were together. Yes. It's the same stadium that WrestleMania 37 is going to be at. I'm hoping that they would take this idea of the cardboard cutouts, or if they do, I highly doubt they're going to do this virtual fan, the Thunderdome. You can't really. So I'm hoping they would do cardboard cutouts and then just have, the 25,000 fans kind of sprinkled in to make it look like it's more people there than what it actually is. And as far as the halftime show, I like The Weeknd. I'm not the biggest Weeknd fan. I like The Weeknd. I think his songs are cool. But I don't know. I know that there's this whole thought, the older people didn't like it, the younger people like it. I guess I'm old because I really didn't care for it. I don't know. When a halftime show, some of the songs he was playing was a bit sadder breakup songs, and I'm like, I really don't want to hear that type of music during the Super Bowl. And I had a bit of a little fact wrong. I said that in the last episode that the halftime shows weren't as good since Prince, and I completely forgot that Beyonce and Bruce Springsteen had performed after Prince as well. So maybe since Beyonce, Bruno Mars was really good too. Um, I think Bruno Mars is after Beyonce, so I would say then probably after Bruno Mars. J Lo and Shakira was good last year. Lady Gaga was good as well. But yeah, halftime shows aren't what they used to be. You know, I know a lot of people go back to the halftime show back in AT&T Stadium. Um, oh my gosh, I forgot who it was. Was it Creed? Yeah, it was Creed. Um, with that halftime show, if you haven't seen the gifs of that halftime show, um, you should definitely check that out. So it was a good game. I was very shocked that I'm not very shocked, but I was surprised um that the Chiefs were dominated as much as they were. I thought this would be a bit of a closer game. You know, Tom Brady pulling it out in the fourth quarter, the last 2 minutes like he normally does, but this was like, whoa. He made Patrick Mahomes look like a damn rookie. They were on top of him the whole game. I mean, these throws that Patrick Mahomes was pulling out. First of all, he didn't want to throw away the ball. He didn't want to run. He didn't want to throw away the ball. He didn't want to run out into the end zone to out of the not the end zone. What the hell am I talking about? Out of bounds to avoid the sack. He was doing these crazy ass throws. He had like two defenders on his ankles, and he threw the ball like sideways, and it would have been such a great play had the receiver caught it. And it's not like the receiver couldn't catch it. It hit the receivers in the face. So he was putting it right there for them. So it just really shows how great of a quarterback Patrick Mahomes is, which I knew he was a great quarterback, but it was like, yo, you're not a fucking human being for you to be pulling off these type of throws. But I hope everyone enjoyed the Super Bowl. You know, now the season is over. Now we're kind of back to square one. Hopefully we'll get to some point in the pandemic where we can have fans again, where we can go to games and stuff like that. On my team, the biggest thing is whether Dak Prescott's going to get signed. They did a hype video. It was like, I think it was a 30-second, 90-second hype video. And Dak Prescott was not in the video. And it was highlights from this year. And so when I heard that, I was like, oh, okay, he didn't play this year. Until I heard that they put former quarterbacks into the hype video as well, and they put other free agents into the hype video as well. And whenever it's the Cowboys, everything gets blown out of proportion because it's the Cowboys. So every single news media is covering it. Oh, is it a secret message and stuff like that? Like, I'm not a Dak Prescott fan. I'm really not. I'm not one of those Cowboy fans from Philly that thinks the team is perfect and just want to shit on the Eagles all day. No, I'm a realist here. We have issues, okay? Our running back is being paid. It got paid too much money, okay? Mr. Butterfingers, he definitely need an endorsement from Butterfingers because that's all he was this season. We have the talent. It's just like, I don't know. It's nothing to put it together. And I was a Tony Romo fan, because that dude pretty much, his body was broken down. His body just couldn't take it anymore. And that's what, led to Dak Prescott. But I don't know. He's a good quarterback, but he's not like pay me a lot of money type of quarterback. I think there are better quarterbacks out there. I really haven't gotten a chance to check out like who's coming up in the draft, stuff like that. I know there's this I think Trevor Lawrence or something like that name getting thrown around as like the number one quarterback or something like that. But it feels like Dak Prescott is the quarterback to settle down with. It's all about, it's the one who you would love to spend the rest of your life with, but you find out that she is married to someone else, so now you're settling for the chick that you've been dating for 2 months who kind of have a bit of emotional baggage type of situation. That's what it feels like it is. So going into wrestling, we have a lot going on this week. We have the Elimination Chamber coming up in a couple of weeks. We have Takeover Vengeance Day coming up this Sunday. I got family walking around if you are hearing background noise. If you hear some background noise moving around, that's the fam. So I'm sorry if it to my headphone users if you're hearing a lot of shuffling around and stuff like that. But yeah, we have Takeover Vengeance Day coming up, and I really appreciate NXT with them doing all these former WCW, WWE takeover names. So Vengeance Day was actually a pay-per-view that was back in the Ruthless Aggression era, back when WCW came over with the quote-unquote invasion stuff like that. Undertaker was in his like big evil type of his persona. We had the beginnings of Brock Lesnar as well, and I think it stopped. It started like I think 2000, and it stopped at 2007, and then they kind of, I think they tied it in 2007 to like Night of Champions or something like that, and then they did it again, and then it kind of became Night of Champions. Ironically, it was a pay-per-view that took place in July before SummerSlam. So I appreciate NXT for bringing back these type of takeover names, because it does feel like more of an in your house type of pay-per-views versus like the versus like SummerSlam, WrestleMania, Royal Rumble type of situation. So I do like the fact that they're playing around, it's Takeover Portland or Takeover 30 or Takeover this, that, and the third. So I really appreciate that. So going into news, breaking news that happened today is that Mia Yim and Keith Lee are engaged. So congrats to them. They posted a photo of her with the engagement ring on Instagram, and I think that was today. So definitely congrats to them. Hopefully, I mean, they can't do it because Mia Yim is with Retribution, but they did do something. I think They did do something in NXT where it was Bruce Lee and Mia Yim, and it was against Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae. So I'm hoping that that was fine, but I'm just hoping it's not going to turn into the whole Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch type of situation. But congrats to them though. Other piece of news, there was a photo that was posted by Rhea Ripley, and people are speculating that it could be a new look when she gets called up to the main roster. I saw the picture today, and I'm like, no, please, no. If you haven't seen the picture, she looks pretty much. She's pretty much Ruby Riott, except for blonde hair. Uh, she was wearing the platform boots. With you can see the tats on her legs and stuff like that. And I mean, I could definitely see WWE, changing it up because they love to just mess with the NXT superstars. They rather focus on the entertainment value versus, wrestling. So I can definitely see them changing her look into something like that. And I'm not ready for it. Like, we all know that it's coming. We all need to brace ourselves because whenever WWE calls up NXT people on the main roster, they lose names, they lose gimmicks, they lose looks, and things get destroyed. So I highly doubt that I think that is what Rhea Ripley is going to eventually look like. I mean, I don't think she's going to get called up now. Maybe towards after WrestleMania, she might get the call up. But I'm hoping that was just her just posting the photo and not, actually a new look for her. Another piece of news is that Sarah Logan had her baby. She announced her pregnancy. I think it was back in I think it was around July, maybe. I forgot exactly when it was that she announced her um, pregnancy, but she had her baby. I think it was a few days ago. We all know that she is no longer with the company. She is married to Eric of the Viking Raiders, and she posted a photo of the baby. And this was actually 2 days ago that she posted the baby, baby boy, and she was in labor for 44 hours. That's almost 2 days. That's almost 2 days that she was in labor for. Um, Yeah, no, I don't think she was let go. I think she just stepped away. Oh no, she let me see. Eric Rowe. She was released from her contract for the budget cuts. And then she decided to step away because she had a child. So their son name is Raymond Cash Rowe. They posted a picture of the beautiful baby. He was 8 pounds. I think it was 8 pounds 11 ounces or something like that, which that's a big baby boy. And she was in labor for 44 hours. I don't know about no labor for 44 hours. Mine was almost 24 hours, but I had an 8 pound baby as well. So God bless her. I will say a prayer for her because that is crazy. So going into wrestling this week, we had some more of the fallout from the Royal Rumble. We have Edge going around wondering who he is going to choose for his title shot. We also had Bianca Belair going around choosing who she's going to pick for her title shot as well. So starting off with Raw, we had Shane O'Mac is back for whatever reason, and I guess it's WrestleMania season. And him and Adam Pearce announced the Elimination Chamber match for the Raw, for the WWE Championship, which I'm a little confused about, because I didn't know. I could have sworn it used to be matches to set up the Elimination Chamber participants. But, it is what it is. For this one, though, we have Drew McIntyre, who is actually going to defend his title in the Elimination Chamber. And they mentioned that the participants of the Elimination Chamber will be people who were former champions. But the people who are in this match, though, um, I don't know. So the people who are in this Elimination Chamber, of course, is Drew McIntyre, Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton, Sheamus, The Miz, and AJ Styles. And I'm kind of tired of Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre at this point. It's starting to feel like Randy Orton and John Cena, where they don't really have anything for Drew McIntyre to do, so you just put him at Randy Orton. So of course we got the feud with Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. We also have The Miz, who is there with the briefcase. Some people felt some type of way because they wanted Kofi Kingston to be in there, even though, yeah, he is on Raw. Yeah, they're on Raw, so that would make sense. But he is in a feud against Mustafa Ali, so that matchup is coming for the Elimination Chamber. I think it was already set up, but I'm not 100% sure. So, I guess, I guess we'll see how this plays out. Drew can definitely possibly lose his title to Randy, and then we'll have Randy and Edge at WrestleMania, or it could be Sheamus who wins, or it could be whoever wins and the Miz cashes in. I don't know. Things get a little crazy around WrestleMania time. Um, we also had Keith Lee backstage. He was backstage in a segment with Riddle. I'd be wanting to call him Matt Riddle, but I forgot he lost his first name. And he pretty much asked him, "Why do you like getting your ass kicked by the Hurt Business and Bobby Lashley?" And then Riddle started talking about Airbud, and I figured maybe he just likes to slap into brick walls or something, because he's been getting his ass handed to him by Bobby Lashley and the Hurt Business. And Keith Lee and Riddle had a match later on. Of course, the winner, um, I think it was the winner goes against Bobby Lashley at Elimination Chamber, and I'm not 100% sure. But we had MVP on commentary as well, and then Keith Lee won, and afterwards Bobby Lashley comes in and starts attacking people. He put the Hurt Lock on Riddle, and Riddle started, flopping around like he is dancing at a country club or something like that. Um, and they was trying to get Bobby Lashley to stop, and I kind of figured that Bobby Lashley is just very upset because he pretty much kind of snapped, and they was trying to get him to stop attacking Riddle. And I kind of figured, and I said this on Twitter, that, maybe Bobby Lashley is just still very upset that he never got that shot from Brock Lesnar. And he sees Riddle and he realizes, hey, this is a guy who came from MMA, and this is probably the closest thing that I can use to connect to Brock Lesnar. And he just kind of snapped and, had one of them blackout moments. Who knows? We also had the New Day versus Retribution with Mustafa Ali on commentary. Mustafa Ali on commentary is it's very interesting. It's very entertaining, I would say. Not as entertaining as other people will be on commentary, but very interesting, some of the things he say. I'm interested in this feud between him and Kofi Kingston, but I still don't get Retribution. I don't know what we're doing with them here. We also had a segment with Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny, The Miz, I think, who else was out there? Edge. Oh yeah, Edge came out to talk about, his decision, and Miz came out, interrupted him, and said, "Hey, you're doing all this stuff, choosing for the championship. Don't forget that I am Mr. Money in the Bank. I can cash in this championship at any point in time, and you can win the title, but I can take it from you." And I noticed, what the fuck is Angel Garza doing with the Miz and Morrison? And I don't know if I missed the memo, or if I missed the meeting, or if they did something during a commercial break or something like that, but I don't know what Angel Garza is doing with the Miz and Morrison. And he looks so out of place because Angel Garza got swag. He was Rico Suave with that suit on and everything, and we got the Miz and Morrison. So I'm like, what the fuck is this? What is this? So then we had Bad Bunny, who comes out, and he comes out with Damian Priest, and oh my gosh, I like Damian Priest's entrance. And if you haven't seen it, there is a big difference between his entrance on NXT and his entrance on Raw. Um, for whatever reason, the camera angles, there's this shot where where the music breaks down, and he goes up and down with the beat and stuff like that, with the spotlight and the lights flicker and stuff like that. Normally the fucking camera is supposed to stand still because it's looking up at him so that you can see the spotlight. Instead, they decide to look more, the angle was more like a hard camera, and the camera was going up and down with him so you can get dizzy, of course, because action is more exciting when the camera is moving with people or zooming in and out. And then they keep missing the cue to light up his name for the when he shoots the arrow at the screen. And yeah, I was very upset because I'm like, it's not that hard, really. It's really not that hard to do that type of entrance. All you're doing is keeping the camera still. You know, you don't have to move the camera up and down. The entrance isn't more exciting because you're moving the camera up and down like you're nodding very quickly or something like that. It's just very frustrating, I'm telling you. But if I also was wondering why the hell is Damian Priest with Bad Bunny, and then I saw the segment backstage where they were speaking Spanish. I was like, okay, I get it. It's because he speaks Spanish, and he also was doing an interview, a couple of interviews, and he was explaining his relationship with Bad Bunny, and he mentioned how him and Bad Bunny pretty much grew up in the same place. They, you know, they have a lot in common. And I'm like, fine. I didn't want this to be the way that you get introduced to Damian Priest. But, you know, it is what it is. I can't complain too much. But I definitely see myself getting upset over the what is going to happen for with Damian Priest. Also, first of all, breaking news. Breaking news. We are all wrong, okay? Every single podcaster, every single journalist, every single person who had spoken these words was completely wrong. Ric Flair is not a sugar daddy. He is a coach. He is coaching Lacey Evans, and he's helping her, and they are. Lacey Evans said, "I don't know what we were thinking, but their relationship is strictly professional, and he is helping her because she wants to get a title shot." And I said, as a podcaster who did a full segment about this whole situation with Ric Flair and Lacey Evans, I said, well, if it's professional, why did we mention hotel room when it was this interview that happened backstage after the whole thing went down, and Lacey mentioned, we're gonna go to a motel room. And I was like, whoa, that doesn't sound professional. It's no, everybody started bringing up the fact that maybe less than a year ago, actually, yes, a couple of months ago, back in the summer, when we had the greatest women's tag team champions of all time, we had Sasha 2 belts and Bailey 2 belts, when they were teasing Lacey Evans, stuff like that, because she's a mom. We were talking about the daughter and the husband. WWE figured that we were dumb enough to forget about this when all of a sudden Lacey decides to get a little woo 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 action from Ric Flair, and they probably noticed, hey, there's a lot of people on Twitter and all the wrestling podcasters are mentioning that this is a bit weird, and that we remember that there was a husband and a child involved when she was face, and so now they're trying to clean the shit up, like, oh, it's professional. We're going after the title. He's helping me out. I'm like, no, okay. Ric Flair is not pulling out the clipboard like Arn Anderson is doing in AEW, okay? Y'all thought y'all was slick with trying to do this weird ass storyline of Lacey Evans all of a sudden trying to be Miss Steal Your Daddy, and it blew up in y'all face. But we had on Raw, they explained all this, and Charlotte comes out, and there was a match between Charlotte and Lacey, and we saw for ourselves, yes, Lacey needs some motherfucking help, because that match had its moments. There was the spot where Lacey was pulling Charlotte's hair down a couple of times. I think it happened twice, then Charlotte got up to get pulled down again, and they were holding arms, and you see Lacey's like, huh? And you see Charlotte pretty much mouth to her, do it again, or something like that, and Lacey Evans pulls her down. And there were other couple of spots too, and Charlotte said it herself that Lacey should, if Lacey really wanted to improve, she should go down to the PC Center and get some more training. And I kind of agree with that. You can't really go after the title if you're very, very messy in the ring. Which, I say that, and I immediately think of a couple of names that are very messy in the ring, including one who's holding the tag team championship. But that was a hot-ass match. Speaking of the person who was holding the tag team championship, it seems like the wrestling community is in love with her. Because now she is a viral sensation. Off of 2 words, my hole. We had Nia Jax versus Lana, and we had Naomi and Shayna Baszler at ringside, and there was the spots that everyone seems to all talk about. Lana was on the apron of the ring. Nia Jax went to do a leg drop. Lana moved. Nia Jax landed square on her butt, and she screamed. She screamed like it really hurt. And she flipped the table, and she said, "My butt." And then as she was grabbing the backside, and then said, "My hole." A lot of people thought, we're a little concerned because, if you say "my hole," that means, it's up in there. I mean, she's a big girl. So if she says "my hole," when she says "butt," okay, you landed on your butt. And then she says "my hole," and I'm like, ooh, that means that apron probably got up in there. And so people started talking about it. Even Mick Foley mentioned it, saying, it should be a t-shirt. And I was like, well, if it was AEW, there would be "my whole" t-shirt on pro wrestling tees within the hour. But of course, this is WWE. Apparently, WWE didn't like her saying "my butt, my hole," because on their YouTube channel, when they show the replay of the match, they actually censored out the words "my hole." Because, reasons. I mean, you can't say "my hole" on TV, but a young lady can go after a much older man and say we're going to the hotel room. But no, that was Raw. That's the 3 hours that went past by. I don't know if it gets you that more excited for Elimination Chamber. But this is I think there is another pay-per-view coming up in March. It might be Fastlane, I'm not 100% sure. But I think this is the last pay-per-view before this switch to Peacock, from WWE Network to Peacock, which will be about $6. So, like I said, people can't complain and say, "I'm going to cancel the WWE Network," because you can't. You can't cancel the WWE Network because there is no WWE Network to cancel. It is all on the NBC app now. So now if you sit there and complain and want to cancel, people are going to say, well, you're being stupid because you're canceling all the stuff that you can get on NBC. Going into AEW Dynamite, we had AEW Dynamite was a very good show. It really was. We had a lot of action. We had an incredible main event. Starting out, we had Darby Allin versus Joey Janela. Joey Janela gained a little bit of weight, but however, I have mad respect for Joey Janela. I'm not 100% sure if this is true, but if I remember correctly, he was pretty much self-taught. He kind of reminds me, this may be a bad comparison, but he somewhat reminds me of Spike Dudley. He's one of those wrestlers that is willing to do them crazy ass spots and get his ass kicked. Tell me if I'm wrong. But that's definitely what he reminds me of. One of those people who is willing to put themselves through crazy spots. Not really doing the crazy spots, but willing to take the bump in the crazy spot. But I got mad respect for Joey Janela for that. Of course, Darby Allin won this match. This is all pretty much showing his dominance as him and Sting will team up to go against Team Taz. I don't think I talked about that before. I'm not surprised that Sting is going to be in the tag team match. I know everybody keeps making comparisons between Goldberg versus Sting. Some people are like, Goldberg really shouldn't be wrestling, and he shouldn't. I thought when I was watching the Royal Rumble, I felt as though Goldberg was gassed when he came out during his entrance. No lie. I was looking at him and I said he looks slightly gassed from coming from that backstage area. And he can't hold down a match for 5 minutes. And he keeps wanting to do these high, profile matches with the titles on the line and stuff like that. And normally when the title's on the line, it's not a 5-minute type match. And with Sting, this is a tag team match, and this seems like sort of a mentor type of situation that he's doing with Darby Allin. Like, I don't expect... He could have easily came in, walked up to Kenny Omega, and started that whole feud there. But it seems like he is there to help out the talent. And I know he is 60... I think he is 61, if I'm not mistaken. I don't expect him to be flipping around like he's Kenny Omega or something like that. I expect him to pull out moves, maybe not looking as much as Jake the Snake was on Wednesday. But I got some expectations. I feel like I really shouldn't have any expectations, but I have some expectations he's at least going to try. I mean, I might be sitting here setting expectations and hopes and stuff like that, and it's going to turn into demolition Darby or something like that. But I have hope. I'm gonna say that. Next up, we had Lee Johnson and Cody Rhodes versus Peter Avalon, and I did not catch that other guy's name. I think he was from AEW Dark as well. I appreciated that even though Cody Rhodes, who did his Triple H entrances are not as long, it does keep it short, but he always have the biggest pyro, of course, and no one else uses that entrance, including his coach, who always comes out of the side. I would figure, with the coach comes out with the players, whatever. But I appreciated that even though Cody Rhodes was in this match was focused on Lee Johnson, who got his first win on AEW Dynamite. He was 0-29, which is very crazy. And, 0-29 should really be a big thing because wins and losses count in AEW. So the fact that he was 0-29 is like pretty shocking, and he went and got his first win. He was pretty good. He had a good showing as well. It was Peter Avalon, so it is what it is. But now Lee Johnson is part of the Nightmare family, which I'm a little confused about because I thought the Nightmare family was originally people from the Rhodes family, but it seems like we're just recruiting people because he recruited someone else too, if I'm not mistaken. I forgot the name. I saw it when it broke. I think it came out on Monday or Tuesday or something that he recruited Lee Johnson and someone else to the Nightmare family, and I'm like, okay, it is what it is. We also had a backstage segment with the Young Bucks. They were being interviewed about their elimination at that tag team battle royal, and the Good Brothers come in, and the Young Bucks are like, "Yo, what is going on?" They had distracted. They caused the Young Bucks to be eliminated, and the Young Bucks was like, "You dummies! Had we have won, we would have chose you guys to go against us," which is why I'm happy that they got eliminated. And so, the Young Bucks and the Good Brothers go back and forth and stuff like that. And the Young Bucks decided to challenge Santana Ortiz next week for the belts, which, on paper is something you would be happy about, but then you're like, we know that the titles are not dropping from the Young Bucks right now. I would love for Santana Ortiz to win these belts. I really do. They're such a cool and good tag team. But it is what it is. AEW, when somebody's being dominant, and there are losers. Now, people should be upset if someone loses in AEW Dynamite because losses matter. So all this hype up with WWE, all that energy you got when someone loses and stuff like that, and y'all immediately go on Twitter and say such and such is being buried. If you're an AEW fan, you keep that same energy. If someone loses, go ahead and say, "Oh, that person's being buried," and this, that, and the third. And it's because a loss matters in AEW. But yeah, I fully expect Santana Ortiz to lose, and I really hope that one day they'll get the tag team titles because they're a pretty good tag team. Then we had the segment with Hangman Page, who it seems like he's in this love triangle between Matt Hardy and the Dark Order. Matt Hardy invited Hangman to go for a drink. Hangman's like, "Oh, I gotta get something." He runs to the Dark Order, and John Silver was hilarious in this segment. Straight up acted like he was that ex-boyfriend that bumped into his ex-girlfriend, and you have that awkward moment, or the guy who tries to ask out the girl and she turns him down, and it's like very awkward. He was hilarious in that segment, because Heyman was like, "Oh, I'm about to go to the bar. I'm actually about to go to the bar with Matt Hardy," and he goes, "Oh, okay. I think he said something along the lines like, have a good one," or something like that, and he goes, "Oh, stupid." But that was a cool segment. And then it later goes on to Hangman Page and Matt Hardy, and they're drinking and stuff like that, and they said cheers, and Matt Hardy does his pitch. I don't know if he's trying to be like Vince McMahon or something like that. He is like telling, he's telling Hangman Page same thing he told Private Party, that I'm gonna turn you into the best thing ever. It's 30% of my fee is 30%, but you're gonna make so much money that it's not gonna matter, and this, that, and the third. And he asked Hangman Page to sign a contract. Now, he thought Hangman Page was drunk, of course. But Hangman Page is an alcoholic, and alcoholics don't get that drunk immediately. So Hangman Page took the contract. He's like, yeah, I'll sign it. Do you have a pen? And Matt Hardy goes, "Oh, yeah." And he goes over to the cameraman and starts explaining to the cameraman, just like any evil villain in a movie, his plan of what he's going to do. And so, as he's talking to the cameraman, we see Hangman Page tosses the contract out, pulls out a different contract from his shirt pocket, and goes to sign that. And then asks Matt Hardy to sign it. And Matt Hardy's like, "Woohoo, yeah, you got the contract. All right, nice doing business with you." And Hangman sits back and he was like, "I think I'm going to have another one of these." And so I guess we'll find out next week what that contract is going to say. Obviously, Hangman Page did a switcheroo on him, so I don't know. I don't know what the contract and the fake contract is going to say. We also had the segment backstage with the Inner Circle. Sammy Guevara comes in and wants to speak to MJF alone. Once him and MJF are alone, he starts talking to MJF about how he knows that he's trying to break up the Inner Circle, and this, that, and the third. And MJF was like, "I think you're jealous. I think you wanted to be the leader of the Dark Order, and I think you are jealous of me because I'm the hottest thing coming, and you hate Chris Jericho." And he goes, "Oh, so I wanted to take over Inner Circle and I hate Chris Jericho. That's what you want me to say? And MJF goes, that's exactly what I want you to say. And picks up a tape recorder. And I'm like, well, dude, if you're secretly taping a conversation, you don't reveal that you're taping the conversation. That's like telling someone that I'm wearing a wire. You don't do that, okay? Obviously, MJF is a little too, too up in the clouds that he doesn't understand the basics of, snitching. When you go to snitch, you don't say that you're about to snitch because snitches get stitches. So you don't say, "Hey, I'm about to snitch on you," or what I got you to say. No, you let Sammy Guevara find out when you go to play the recording later on. When Mankind sat there and said, "I quit, I quit, I quit," you didn't hear The Rock say, "You know what? I'm going to secretly record what you just said so I can play it later on during our match." No, you secretly record and you play it back. And I'm not saying this from experience. I just realized I'm saying I sound like I have experience in snitching, and I'm not a snitch. Okay, so don't you fucking go there. But no, you don't say you're about to snitch. Okay. Sammy Guevara then gets upset. He punches MJF in the ribs. Later on, the Inner Circle is being interviewed. MJF comes up. He goes, and he snitches then. Sammy Guevara punched me in the ribs. My ribs hurt. I don't think I can make it in the match. Oh my god. So then we have the match with, who was it? The Inner Circle versus the Acclaim. Oh my gosh. I know there are people out there that like the Acclaim, but the Acclaim is good in the ring. Inside the ring, they're cool. But this rapping thing that they come out and do, and I'm sorry, I grew up on Tupac and Biggie and Nas and DMX. So hearing them do these raps of coming at people, I'm like, come on, son, yo, no. Like, they sound like some Disney movie or Disney original movie type of rappers. If 8 Mile was produced by Disney, that's the type of raps that they would do. It's like, oh my gosh, yo. It was almost like when the New Day was rapping against the Usos. It gives me John Cena Thugonomics vibes. Like, it's not a good thing. It makes me almost want to change the channel. That's how bad it is. Hopefully, I'm not the only one that feels this way, but oh my gosh, yo. It's no bueno, I would say. No bueno with this stuff, man. But yeah, I guess I should say I'm not a fan of the Acclaim because of the whole rap thing. And I just feel like it feels like they write their own raps. It feels like someone else write the raps. There's like there's no flow to it. It's just it's not good at all. It really isn't. Um, right, write the raps. My bad. I'm sitting here trying to check out chat because I realized I haven't checked out chat. Flair is a hoe for sure. Yeah, Flair is a hoe. Um, but yeah, I'm not a fan of the Acclaim. I'm really not, and I hope I'm not the only one who feels that way. Um, but I'm not a fan of the Acclaim. They it's the rapping. It really is. The rapping, it takes me onto some Disney stuff, yo. It really does. Um, let's see. After that, we had Pac versus Minnie Ziggler. Um, I don't even know his name. I know he's called the Hollywood or something like that. Uh, is it? I know the last name is Namath, but I forgot. I seriously forgot his name. But I know it's Dolph Ziggler's brother. Looks just like him, hair like him, the trunks like him, and he sells like him too, which is pretty hilarious. Um, the match between Pac and I should get his name because I keep wanting to call him Mini Ziggler or Twin Ziggler or something like that. But the match between them two, I was dying. Okay, I don't know. I don't know what he did to Pac, but Pac like whooped his ass, yo. Um, his name is Ryan. Is that his name? Ryan Namath. Okay, yeah, his name is Ryan. Um, but yeah, he got his ass whipped. But his selling though. So if you don't know, you wasn't watching, um, if you wasn't watching Dolph Ziggler back in 2011 when he was towards the peak of his career, um, Dolph Ziggler was so good at selling. He really was. And I see that Ryan has learned how to sell as well because Pac was kicking his ass and he died. Okay, he died in the ring towards the end of the match. Before Pac does the Black Arrow, I think he calls it now. Um, Ryan was dead. He was dead. He was laying stomach down, didn't turn over for the spot or anything. He was done. And um I figured that cuz you kind of wonder like, damn, what did he do to you to make you whip his ass like he owes you something? And I figured like, maybe something triggered in Pac that when he looked at Ryan, he saw Dolph Ziggler, and when he saw Dolph Ziggler, it reminds him of WWE, and when he thinks of WWE, it reminds him of his former gimmick when they tried to do the Mighty Mouse thing, and he sees Ryan across, and he goes in his head and he says, "I'm not Mighty Mouse. My name is Pac. I'm not fucking Mighty Mouse." I'm trying to do his gimmick. I'm trying to do his accent, so if I butchered it, I apologize. But he was like, I'm not fucking Mighty Mouse. And he just snaps. And he just whips his ass. Maybe Dolph Ziggler also said some shit in the back, and, also said some shit in the locker room. We know that Dolph Ziggler is a comedian, so maybe he said something, backstage, and Pac looked at him and was like, yo, next time I see you is on site. And maybe Dolph Ziggler hid from him or something. But now he sees his brother and he's, whenever someone do something that bad to you and you like, you know what? It's whoever, you know? Maybe he saw the brother and was like, you're gonna pay for what the fuck your brother did. I feel like there is a backstory to this. I feel like there should be an AEW Untold. I know we got WWE Untold. Maybe there should be an AEW Untold. The untold story of what the hell Dolph Ziggler did to Pac that made him fight his brother the way that he did. But the end of the match was the greatest thing ever. The best submission that I ever seen. So of course Pac does the Black Arrow. Does the Black Arrow and immediately turns into the Brutalizer. Um, and what happens after that? First of all, Ryan starts tapping immediately, and he starts pleading for his life. And you see Ryan, like panicking and stuff. And then he looks like he is dying, like straight up cartoon version. His tongue starts to stick out, his eyes started to roll and stuff like that. I started dying. I was like, okay, someone went to the school of selling. And so I'm sure you see the video or you see the GIF all over the internet but it was fucking hilarious. And then we had a segment too. Sting was getting interviewed, and Team Taz shows up on the screen, and they showed that Darby Allin was placed in a body bag, and they tied up the body bag, and they dragged it around the fucking parking lot. And I don't know how to feel about this, because I was like, yo, that's kind of fucked up. You put him in a body bag, you just drag him around the damn parking lot. But then Taz said something, and I was stuck on it for a little bit. He said that we're gonna take Darby Allin into FTW world, and I was like, I had to really stop and think, because I'm like, FTW stands for fuck the world. So you're saying fuck the world? Like, maybe, I don't know if he was saying it on the spot or somebody came up with that phrase for him. But no. No. Come up with a different phrase, you know. It could say, you know, we're going to give him a little ride, you know. He seems to be dragging behind. Oh, that was a bad joke, but that was funny. So then we get to the segment with the greatest, if the TMZ of wrestling, Alex Marvez, suddenly pops up in on a golf course where Kenny Omega is golfing. You know, he's asking Kenny Omega, you know, about his tag team match. He's teaming up with Kenta, going against Jon Moxley and Lance Archer. And Kenny Omega's like, yo, I'm paraphrasing, but pretty much like, yo, I'm the greatest of all time. Why do I need to practice? Like, he pretty much pulled Allen Iverson. Like, practice? Practice? You sitting here talking about practice? Where I'm the best in the game? Practice. Because he pretty much was like, I don't need to study who my tag team partner is. I don't have to worry about who I'm facing because I already beat Jon Moxley already, and I am the best at what I do. So I'm going to sit here and play some golf, and I'm not going to talk about practice. I thought it was hilarious. And then, of course, he missed the golf shot. Um, I don't think so I wasn't paying attention at first. I don't know if Don Callis put the ball in or they acted like the ball went in. And so, you know, they're saying how he hit an eagle and stuff like that. And then Don Callis goes, he's going to post that on MySpace. And I'm like, dude, stop it. Do not tell me you don't know that Twitter and Facebook exist. You could have said one of those two. Those are at least the basics. So, you know, you probably heard of Instagram, maybe Snapchat, but everyone should know Facebook and Twitter. Because Facebook and Twitter has been around for a very long time. You could have said that. MySpace, even though MySpace used to be the shot back in the day. First of all these young people, you want to talk about anxiety? Anxiety is not landing into the top 8 of people. Anxiety is sitting there spending all day trying to fix up your page so that when someone goes to it, it plays the right music and your background is set. I remember those days of MySpace. I remember those days. Those and Black Planet. Oh my gosh. And the party line. What? Do not get me started on the party line. If you don't know what the party line is, the party line was the club for introverts. If you didn't want to go out anywhere, you would hop on the party line. Party line was basically damn. I don't even know what to compare it to today. You was basically calling to a number. You enter in a room with random people and you just start talking to people. Only been on the party line like maybe twice, because I was like too scared because I figured it would be creepos on there, which normally it was. It was normally creepos on there. But I used to be too afraid to hop on the party line. And then Black Planet was interesting too. That was an interesting website. But MySpace was definitely the shot. And then when I went to college, that's when I asked the DJ of, where to find him, he's like, you can find me on Facebook. I'm saying, like, what the fuck is Facebook? I had no idea Facebook existed at that time. And so I went to Facebook and went to Facebook and I was like, yo, like, oh my gosh, this is gonna replace MySpace. But yeah, oh my gosh, MySpace used to be the days. And your parents weren't on MySpace either. MySpace was pretty much for your generation. You wouldn't find parents on MySpace because MySpace was too complicated for parents to be on. Not like Facebook. Facebook is a lot easier to figure out than it was with MySpace. But yeah, I kind of went on a tangent there because I went through flashbacks when he mentioned MySpace. And I don't know if I should feel like old because he said MySpace and that related to me. Because normally when an older person says something that's outdated, you can't relate to it. Like, like silent films or something like that. Nobody can relate to silent films. I can't really relate to 8-tracks, but I can relate to VHS tapes. And so when he said MySpace, I'm like, damn, I'm in that age bracket where I can relate to something that someone elderly says. Oh no. But anyway. We also had the match, Thunder Rosa versus, oh my gosh, what is her name? I think it was Layla Kirsch. But oh my gosh, what a difference. Layla Hirsch. Sorry, I said Kirsch. Layla Hirsch. Oh my goodness, what a difference a veteran makes. That was a good match. And Layla is good as well. Like I had said before, she has that amateur wrestling background, which really translates very well when it comes to pro wrestling. Definitely, you immediately think of Kurt Angle and Chad Gable and stuff like that. People who have amateur wrestling backgrounds who come into pro wrestling. Very good, very promising. And I love the fact that Thunder Rosa is there. I love Thunder Rosa. So, nothing but good vibes when you think of the women's division now. And now they got this elimination tournament for the number one AEW number one contender. And I kept hearing about the American side, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And very unique. They have an American side and a Japan side, and the matches that are happening on the Japan side is happening over in Japan. Which I'm like, that is cool. I'm just hoping that they keep showing these matches on AEW, introduce us to other women from Japan like they did when they first started. So going back with Sammy Guevara and MJF after the matchup that Chris Jericho had with the Acclaim, I realized I went off tangent when I mentioned that because I got triggered by the Acclaim and their rapping. Sammy Guevara comes out and Chris Jericho asks him, like, what's going on? Did you hit MJF, stuff like that? And Sammy Guevara mentioned, I think he said, like, December 9th or something like that. He said, I told you if he did anything else that I would be done. And he said, I'm done. And Chris Jericho was like, what do you mean you're done? He says, I'm done. I quit the inner circle. Mic drop. So now we are here. We kind of figured this day will eventually come. And now we have our first little breakup of the inner circle. Sammy Guevara is now on his own. He is obviously going to be a face going against MJF, possibly Chris Jericho. And I'm completely fine with that. Sammy Guevara, when AEW started versus Sammy Guevara now, complete night and day. Sammy Guevara used to come out, I think he had the panda gear on when he first started out. Really didn't get him. You know, he was talented in the ring, but it wasn't, it was like something missing. And now that he got with Chris Jericho, and you know, he's being called the Spanish God and stuff like that, I could definitely see him turning into a very likable face. He has the vlog, if you've never seen it before. Very, very relatable guy. So I think he'll do well as a face. I think he would really do well as a face. And I can't wait to see his feud with him and MJF. Him and Jericho eventually. I think it's going to lead up to. But yeah, I'm completely fine with Sammy Guevara going face. Sammy Guevara character has developed enough that he can stand on his own. And I don't mind, you know, a lot of people keep talking about the old timer stuff like that. I think the way Chris Jericho was used and how he used his popularity, perfectly fine here. Because he put over Sammy Guevara so well. Sammy Guevara is a very good gimmick now. Character, whatever. You now know Santana Ortiz for people who don't really watch the indies. You know of Wardlow, of course, and MJF. And Jake Hager is still Jake Hager. Take it how you feel. That's a good thing or a bad thing. But Jake Hager is still Jake Hager. But yeah, so Sammy Guevara is done with the inner circle, and I feel as though it's time, because with MJF we knew that he would eventually try to break up the inner circle, and so it's the time has come. We're coming up on Revolution in March, and then of course Double or Nothing in May. So we are slowly setting up the storylines that will get to Double or Nothing. So then we come to the main event, the Falls Count Anywhere match. Kenny Omega and Kenta versus Jon Moxley and Lance Archer. And I really appreciate, one thing I really appreciate that AEW does is that AEW, you know, realizes that there are other wrestling companies out there. You know, and because they're comfortable enough in themselves that they are willing to work with other wrestling companies and don't feel like that they have to be a monopoly. Yes, these are shots at WWE. Because they allow NWA champion to compete on their show. They're taking their wrestlers into Impact. Jon Moxley is showing off his championship. We have crossovers. We have Kenta, who is with you know, wrestling in AEW, and I'm completely fine with that. That's how it should be, you know. It's okay to have someone wrestling someone else. You know, if you have a working relationship with another promotion, like, hey, we'll let such and such wrestle on your brand. Of course, they're under contract. He's under contract with New Japan, so it's not like AEW can sweep him out or something like that. But I love the fact that AEW is working with other promotions, because now we get these matchups that we wouldn't normally see, like Kenny Omega and Kenta teaming up. Like, I know we can get that in Japan, but I'm talking about as far as in the US. You wouldn't get that, okay? And I'm happy to see Kenta, because you know, in NXT he was Hideo Itami, and my gosh, you know, he was good in NXT, but man, so good. He was really good in NXT though. But Kenta, different person. This was a very good match. This was an enjoyable match. And I really love the fact that this was kind of a true Falls Count Anywhere. because normally it goes backstage and then it comes back out to the ring, which it did with this one. But this match literally went around the arena. Um, we ended up in the kitchen. We were in the parking lot. It was all over the place. We saw potatoes. We were on the the rolling steel tables. The referee had to hold it still so that, they can do their spots. Um, Lance Archer is a superstar. So much potential. Whenever he turned, well, I mean, he's technically facing this match, but whenever they decide to let him be, oh my goodness, he's gonna be good. He did this move where he does the old school, very similar to the Undertaker, and then he turns around and does a moonsault onto his opponent, which is something you shouldn't really see on someone his size. Um, there was a spot where Kenny Omega did a moonsault with the trash can. Um, Kenta, of course, did his go to sleep. And let me see, what else am I forgetting? Lance Archer was just beating Kenta the fuck up. And then John Moxley, of course, and Kenta were fighting each other. Um, was Don Callis? I think Don Callis was on commentary. And then we have the spot, the Good Brothers come out. And then here comes Jake the Snake coming in to stop the Good Brothers from interfering. And does this clothesline. This clothesline from hell. He put his all into it, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely see it. He put his all into that clothesline. Knocked, I think it was on Carl Anderson, knocked Carl Anderson off his feet onto the mat. Carl Anderson was probably grasping for air, wondering how can he breathe normally after a clothesline like that. And Jake took a bump, which I was a little surprised at. Because, Jake is a little older and COVID is out and running. And he took a bump. I think it was Luke Gallows who punched him in the face, and Jake fell down to his knees. Kenny Omega, does the motion like he's about to do a V trigger on him. Whew. Luckily, John Moxley comes to the rescue and hits Kenny Omega with the barbed wire bat. And I think Kenny Omega got the pin, if I'm not 100% sure. I forgot who won. But it was a fun match, though. A very good way to end in a show. Very good main event. So, going into NXT. This was the go-home show before we had the Takeover Vengeance. And one of the things that I really liked that they did as far as setting up Takeover Vengeance, they had, as they were announcing the matches that was happening at Takeover, they had the wrestlers come out and stand face to face talking shit to each other. I love that. That was so different. Something that we don't really see. Of course, we always see the, oh my gosh, the word escaped me of what it is. We normally see the graphic of, the two wrestlers of the match that's coming up. So actually having the wrestlers come out and stand face to face as the commentators was talking about the match. Very cool. I love that. So we have the first match. It was MSK versus Legado del Fantasma, I think it was. And I don't know what MSK is. I don't think anybody knows what MSK. I thought about it and I was like, well, maybe it's the Mean Street Kids or something like that. Very similar to Mean Street Posse. But, there's no explanation of what MSK is. But of course they're very good. I do remember them when they were in the Rascals from Impact. So I knew they were very good, and I love the Dusty Rose tournament, especially when it's worked like this, so we can see the true tag teams, not individual A partnered up with individual B type of situation. I love it when it's true tag teams that are facing each other, because MSK is an actual tag team. We see very good tag team double team moves. You know, the chemistry is there as a tag team. um but yeah, MSK wins, and they're gonna go on to the finale, and who they would face, I will talk about a little bit later. Xia Li, first of all, damn, like I keep saying, it's this thing with NXT. Whenever a woman turns heel, she turns 20 times hotter. The difference between her as a face and her now is crazy. I still don't know what this Mortal Kombat character is that they keep showing. I don't know if it's a man or a woman. I really don't, but definitely a Mortal Kombat character. Maybe it's the WWE version of Shang Tsung or something like that. I'm not sure. So then Xia Li goes for her match, and then we have Casey and Kaden Carter comes out because they're out of the tournament, so they don't have anything to do. They come out to try to quote unquote save Xia Li, and they're telling her, "This isn't you, you know, you're not this person," and stuff like that. I'm sitting here like, shut the fuck up, yo. I want her to stay like this. You know, she's winning. She's winning matches. You know, she's getting some good TV time. She's not losing and, you know, afraid of her life, right? I mean, she kind of probably is afraid of her life, but she's not losing. She got cool gear. She got that hot ass ponytail flowing and everything like that. Shut the fuck up and go backstage. Come up with a better tag team moves or something like that. But then Kaden, of course, does the dumb thing and goes to talk to the Mortal Kombat character, and she's sitting there saying, "Who are you? What have you done to her? What have you done to her? This isn't her. What have you done to her?" And then Zia comes and attacks Kaden Carter, goes to the Mortal Kombat character and goes, I'm sorry." Well, speaking in I think it was Chinese, you know, saying probably saying I'm sorry. You know, she didn't mean it, stuff like that. And then we see the Mortal Kombat character put their finger up, and I was fully expecting for red letters to pop up and say "Finish her," but you know, the Mortal Kombat character doesn't speak, and this is NXT. So then, I think his name is Boa. He goes to try to talk sense to the Mortal Kombat character, and the Mortal Kombat character, it looked like grabbed his Adam's apple because it didn't grab his neck, because some fingers were a little bit too twisted up. It looked like grabbed the Adam's apple, and he starts going down. I'm like, come on, dude, you dressed up like Neo from the Matrix. Like, you gotta dodge that shit, yo. But no, he didn't. So he gets down, and Xia Li, you know, starts attacking Kaden Carter, and that was the end of that. So it looks like we're gonna have a feud. This looks like all this is leading up to a feud with Xia Li and Kaden Carter, probably with Casey ringside. Um, which I'm all for, you know. I would like Xia Li to stay this persona. If she decides to turn face, hopefully she keeps this persona. But I'm very interested to know who the fuck is this Mortal Kombat character. And is this Mortal Kombat character going to be in Mortal Kombat 12? Or is this going to be DLC for Mortal Kombat 11? I just want to know, and I just want to know what the moveset is. So I know if I should spend the whatever amount of money it's going to be. So then we had William Regal backstage, who was, I forgot, being interviewed about something, maybe with Johnny Gargano or something like that. And he opens his office door, and hello, Scarlet. If you'd ever seen Animaniacs, you don't know that reference. But if you have seen Animaniacs, you know that reference. Scarlet was just, oh my gosh, just posed up on the desk. You know, I'm sure there's a poster. There's going to be a poster of that somewhere in someone's house. But she was just straight up posed, wearing this black dress with a high slit and stuff like that. William Regal goes, what are you doing here? Basically, Scarlett was like, I'm here because if he comes here, it's not going to be pretty. So, of course, um, Karrion Kross wants, who is it? Oh, Santos Escobar. He wants to go after Santos Escobar. Karrion Kross wants to fucking attack everyone. Is Santos Escobar, Finn Balor, Damian Priest. Like, I appreciate the fact that you're like, you know what? I want to fight you, and you. You know? Because there are people who are like that. They just want to, what? You want some? I'll get you two. What? You want some? I'll fight you two. I'll take your title. I'll take your title. Like, I'm not surprised he's not going after Johnny Gargano, too, because it seems like he wants to go after all the damn titles. Um, but Scarlett mentions that Karrion Kross wants Santo Escobar next week. I think William Regal said yes. I forgot what he actually says. But I think we're going to get it next week. So stay tuned for that. After that, we had a segment with Johnny Gargano in a wheelchair because his arm, I don't know why he's in a wheelchair. I don't know why he had to be carried, like his leg was injured or something like that. But he got apparently kicked in the arm by Kushida, and he's saying how injured he is, stuff like that. William Regal comes out, pretty much puts Johnny Gargano on blast, like that's not an actual x-ray. You would be in excruciating pain if your arm was broken in 3 places. That's actually the right arm. You're injured on the left arm. Just pretty much blowing up his old spot. This, of course, leads to a match between Shotzi, Blackheart, and Amber Moon versus Indy Hartwell, and Candice LeRae. And this was for the this was for the Tag Team Classic. And so I think it was Shotzi who won. Oh my gosh, I completely forgot who won. Yeah, I think it was Shotzi and Moon who won. Yeah, it was Shotzi and Moon who won because then immediately Dakota Kai and Rachel Gonzalez comes out and they start doing the face-off because we are going to get that finals matchup for Takeover Vengeance. And I love that part. I love when, like I said, when they come up face to face, they start talking crap to each other like the fight is about to happen. Completely fine with that. So then we get, I think it was, I don't know if it was a Lamborghini or stuff like that. I don't know my expensive cars that well. But I do know it was an expensive car that comes out. And out comes Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes is back, ladies and gentlemen. And, he got money. Apparently he done did the GameStop stock, which I'm pissed off about. Because, for all the times that I tried to sell things at GameStop and they nickel and dime me for the things that I tried to sell, I could have made a lot of money off of them. So I'm a little upset that I missed that memo to buy some GameStop stock, because I would like to make some money. And Cameron Grimes came out and I don't know about y'all, but he pretty much cut a Ric Flair promo to me. He took off the shirt, was wooing, talking about his money and stuff like that, and his limousine ride and jet flying and stuff like that. And he had money to the moon, like he always say. But he got money. He's flying around money. I'm like, yo, bro, you lucky this isn't around fans because, yeah, I would like some money. And he had bundles too. I couldn't see if it was like fake money or not, but he was showing off bands. And I was like, whoa. I know to some people, all of a sudden he looks good. But I was like, whoa, he got money. Hopefully it would, buy him. I was going to make a joke, but you can't even make a joke because he got too much damn money. But yeah, he had money. He threw it up in the air in the ring, started to do an angel, a money angel with it, and then left the money in the ring. So that's how you know he got money, because he threw it up, it's in the ring, and he walked out. That's that FU money. When you're able to throw money in the air and no one's around and no one's dancing around either, you know what I'm saying? No one's dancing around and you throw money up in the air and it lands on the ground and you don't pick it up, you got money. I would like to get to that point where there's no one around, there's no one dancing, I throw money in the air and leave it on the ground and walk away. That's how you know you got money. Um, And then we come to the main event, the Grizzly Young Vets versus Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. This is to get into the finals for the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. This was a good match as well. And shockingly, the Grizzly Young Vets won. And I could have sworn it would be Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa, because that's what normally happens. We get the people who come together as a tag team and they will win. But I am very shocked. Now in the finale, what's happening at TakeOver, we're going to get the Grizzly Young Vets versus MSK. And I'm all for that, because that is, that's an actual tag team versus an actual tag team, which is all good. So now, like I had said, we have Takeover Vengeance Day. I keep saying Vengeance, but it's Vengeance Day coming up this Sunday on Valentine's Day. So for all my wrestling fans out there who have to celebrate Valentine's Day, just say, hey baby, I'm a cook, because it's quarantine, you can get away with it. We're gonna order in some dinner, get your favorite wine, stuff like that, and we're gonna watch something together. We're gonna watch something together. And she says, oh my goodness, yes, I would love that. And, get her favorite meal, get her wine. You guys sit down on the couch, candlelights and stuff like that. She thinks y'all gonna Netflix and chill. And it's like, bam, NXT Takeover. And you ignore her ass and you cheer on everyone. Okay? You blame WWE for putting a pay-per-view on Valentine's Day. Me myself, I don't celebrate Valentine's Day. I'm sure a lot of men would love to have a woman like that who doesn't want to celebrate Valentine's Day. Chocolate and flowers means just the same on February 15th than it does on February 14th. Chocolate will be on sale on February 15th. Anyway, I'll take my chocolate then. I'd rather get things the other 364 days. One day doesn't show how much you love, because there are dummies out there who don't get loved, get ignored by their dudes for 364 days. Then he shows up on one day with flowers and roses, and all of a sudden you got fucking hard eyes. No, 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 no. I went through that. I'm speaking of experience from that one. I had someone who was a crummy boyfriend. All of a sudden Valentine's Day rolls around and I get flowers and chocolates and all the other crap. And I fell for it. But now I know, like, nope, I rather get, and no, it's not the person I'm with. Just to clarify that. No, this is an ex. But now I've grown and I'm like, F Valentine's Day. Flowers cost $100. Flowers are gonna be like $100 on Sunday, and you can get them for $20 the day before or the day after. So, people bust their butts just for one day. And I say that, but yeah, I celebrate Christmas. So that might sound like a bit of a contradiction for me. Maybe it does for you, maybe it doesn't. But let me get into these predictions here. So starting out with the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Finals for the men, we have MSK versus the Grizzled Young Veterans. I'm going to go with MSK here. MSK has so much, they're really good as a tag team. Legit tag team moves, stuff like that. Definitely see them winning this tag team tournament. But I also expect for this to be a very good match as well. For the women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Finals, we have Ember and Shotzi Blackheart versus Raquel, Gonzalez, and Dakota Kai. I'm going to go with Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart here. Shotzi Blackheart is, of course, the sweetheart, the fan favorite, of course. She hosted, you know, um, she hosted Halloween Havoc, got a new tank and everything like that. It feels like she is definitely the next one to get the push. So I'm going to go with Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart here. We also have for the North American Championship, Johnny Gargano versus Kushida. I'm going to go with Kushida on this one. I know Johnny Gargano is, 2-3 time champion, and he had the title previously for a while too. But I think it's time for them to crown a new champion, especially now that we are going into Takeover Mania that is coming up. I guess it would be Takeover Tampa if they're going to name it a city, or maybe not. But I'm going to go Kushida on this one. I'm going to go for title change here. Next is the NXT Women's Championship. Io Shirai versus Toni Storm versus Mercedes Martinez in a triple threat match. This was a hard match. Because anytime there's a triple threat match, it feels like they do triple threat matches because they don't want the champion to get pinned, but they want the title to change. Like, the title could easily change. I feel if the title is going to change, it's going to be Toni Storm who takes the title by pinning Mercedes Martinez. But I feel like Io Shirai is going to retain. I think Io Shirai is going to retain here and then drop her title at TakeOver Mania and then move on to whether it's another feud or if she gets called up, which I hope that she does not get called up, because, oh my gosh, if they can destroy Asuka, if they could turn Asuka from a dominant woman champion for how long, undefeated in NXT, and then she goes to the main roster and she's dancing around and stuff like that. If they could do that to her, I can only imagine what the hell they're going to do to Io Shirai. But I'm going to go with Io Shirai on this one, even though I feel like if the title changes, it's going to Toni Storm. And then we have the NXT Championship. Finn Balor versus Pete Dunne. This is going to be a good match. And of course, Edge mentioned that he is interested in this matchup, that he might go after the NXT Championship, even though that would be interesting to see. Of course, there'll be matchups that we would love to look at. I don't think he's going to go after the NXT Championship, even though that would be a swerve, because we saw that with Charlotte where she swerved and went after the NXT Championship. That would be a swerve. I mean, his wife is the commentator of NXT. He could definitely work right alongside with her, even though it's not during the pandemic. Nobody's going anywhere, so it's not like you're going to be that far away. But I'm going to go with Finn Balor in this one. I think he retains here. And I think this is going to lead to the matchup between Finn Balor and Karrion Kross, because Karrion Kross have not lost the title technically. He lost it due to injury. He was never pinned for it. And so I think this is leading to Karrion Kross versus Finn Balor. TakeOver Mania. The Demon returns. I'm hoping. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. That's what we're going to get. But those are my picks for TakeOver Vengeance. Of course, every TakeOver that NXT has had is always A+. So I have no doubts that this TakeOver is going to be very good. I feel like we're going to get a title change here, even though we're close to NXT NXT Mania. But I think there'll be at least a title change here. So going into SmackDown, we have SmackDown coming up. Of course, this is going to be the follow-up. We had Bianca Belair, who looked like she was about to announce her pick, and then Reginald comes out saying that she can't beat Sasha. She might as well go after Asuka because she can't beat Sasha and she can't beat Carmella. So it looks like we're gonna have a little bit of Bianca versus Carmella before we get to Bianca versus Sasha Banks. I mean, it's no secret that she's going to pick Sasha Banks. She talked about it. She said she wants Banks at WrestleMania so they can have Black Girl Magic. So it's not a shocker if she picks Sasha Banks. But I guess we're going to let it, we're going to let it play out because that's what it is. But SmackDown last week was all about Roman Reigns getting his respect, because anytime someone has the chance to challenge any champion, why not challenge the top champion? And the top champion, the true champion, is the tribal chief. And so we had Roman Reigns, who came out top of the show, like, bring Edge out. How dare you say you have to think about it. I'm the top champ, Universal Champion, the WWE Top Championship. Acknowledge me as the top champ. And so, Edge wasn't there at first. And he said, Edge is going to come. So later on that night, Edge actually arrived, and he was coming to the ring to cut a promo, and out comes the tribal chief, along with Paul Heyman and Jey Uso. Jey Uso, first of all, while they were in the ring, Jey Uso was walking back and forth like a damn pit bull. Whatever Jey Uso was on to have that much energy just by standing in there, please bottle that up and sell that for us who wake up early in the morning. Because I would love to have that much energy in the morning and throughout the day. I mean, that's some 5 hour, that's more than 5 hour. That's some 24-hour type of stuff that he was drinking. But yeah, he was walking back and forth like ready to pounce like a damn pit bull. And Edge mentioned, like, you don't really need your backup. And of course, their tribal chief, who is a straight up sarcastic smartass, was like, Paul Heyman's not going to do anything for you. And then he mentions how it's Jey Uso. And Roman goes, I'll meet you at the bus. And Jimmy Uso goes like, Ruff, ruff, ruff. He didn't bark, but he might as well have barked, yo. Then Paul Heyman grabs Jey Uso's hand like a damn 3-year-old and goes, come on, go on. Daddy said for you to leave. Let's go. And Roman Reigns pretty much told Edge, say my name. I was like, whoa, wow. He said, acknowledge me as the true champion. He was like, I'm the Universal Champion. I'm the top champion. And so, just when you thought it was going to get better, here comes Kevin Owens doing the Stone Cold Stunner. I still can't get over the fact that now the Stunner is a move that can be duplicated. I'm still stunned about that. I'm stunned that I'm at that period of life where a move that was so iconic to me because only one person did it, now someone else does it. Very similar to with Jake the Snake in the DDT. Now everybody does the DDT. Now it's just a regular move. Just like the spear. Spear used to be special. Now everybody does the damn spear. Soon we're going to be seeing how everybody does the stunner. Stunner is going to end up looking just like a damn clothesline in a couple of years. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I just said that. But yeah, it looks like, so who do I think Edge may pick? I talked about it before. I thought we were going to go with Drew McIntyre, but now that Drew McIntyre is defending his title in the Elimination Chamber match, it seems like that is a whole setup for a feud for Drew McIntyre leading up to WrestleMania, which leaves the possibility of Edge actually challenging Roman Reigns. Because I don't think he's going to go to NXT, even though it would create a lot of opportunities. His wife is commentator there and stuff like that. I don't know. In order for Edge to go after the NXT championship, a title he doesn't have, he's either going to go after the NXT championship to win it because he never won it and he wants it on his wall, or because he actually wants to go down there to put over people. But in NXT, you don't need to put over anyone because the people who are going after the championship are already over. They're very popular and stuff like that. And then if you're trying to get people to watch, the casuals to watch NXT because, it's Edge. And if you want to have people tune in to NXT because Edge is there, I guess you can do that. But like I said, I don't really see Edge going into NXT unless he's doing it to get the title. Because he wants it, he never won it, and he wants to add that to the collection. That's the only reason I would see him going to NXT. Or because he wants to, go against other wrestlers besides Randy Orton. There were other things that happened on SmackDown. We had Hulk Hogan who showed up and talked because it's WrestleMania. Cesaro versus Daniel Bryan, and I was pretty shocked Daniel Bryan had submitted from the sharpshooter. I was kind of shocked by that. So I don't know if it was like Daniel Bryan suffered an injury and they decided to finish the match. I have to I'll be honest, I wasn't like 100% paying attention to it. So when Daniel Bryan tapped, I looked and I saw that he tapped while he was in the sharpshooter. So I don't know if he got injured and they decided to finish it and I missed that part or something. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, outside Roman Reigns and probably maybe a little bit of the IC championship chase and Sasha Banks, SmackDown wasn't really that interesting, really. But of course we're gonna have the follow up with Roman Reigns and Edge. We're gonna have probably another segment with Bianca Belair, probably wanting to challenge Sasha Banks, or we're gonna have her go against Carmella to also further drag that out as well. But yeah, SmackDown's pretty good. Can't wait to see what comes up with SmackDown. Also, this past week, and I forgot to mention this at the top of the show, there was a death. Butch Reed had passed away. I think he passed away. He passed away earlier last week, and it was due to a heart attack. But people think it may be COVID related because the pandemic that we're in. People feel like everything is COVID related. But Butch Reed, if you don't know who he was, he actually came from NFL. He used to play for the Kansas City Chiefs. And then he decided to start wrestling back in the 70s. He was known as Hacksaw Butch Reed. And he wrestled in Mid-South Wrestling in the early 80s. And he had rivalries against Junkyard Dog and Hacksaw Jim Duggan as well. He was in WWE in the late 80s as well. He was called The Natural. A lot of people know him from when he had teamed up with Ron Simmons and he was managed by Teddy Long. When he was teamed up with Ron Simmons, they had feuds against the Steiner brothers. And this was back in the late 80s. When he went to WCW. I don't think he was with WWE for that long. I think he was with WCW for the longest. So yeah, so prayers go out to his family. He was only 66 years old. So wrestling wise, that's a long time, but it's still kind of young, 66 years old. So prayers go out to his family. But if you don't know who he is, definitely look him up, watch his matches and stuff like that. I never really got to catch him, when he was in WCW like that. I definitely heard of him. So one day I would love to go and watch a lot of the wrestling matches from the 80s and maybe a little bit of the mid 90s, especially going into WCW, because there's a lot that I miss. Like I had said plenty of times before, when I was watching wrestling, I was a straight up WWE fan. I guess a mark is what it would be called today. But I watched everything WWE. I watched some WCW. I watched some ECW. I knew enough of who was in both of those promotions. I, of course, knew of NWO. Of course, I knew who Sting was, stuff like that. I knew of Sabu and Sandman and Shane Douglas and Tommy Dreamer and the Dudleys when they were in ECW. But I didn't really watch a lot of the classic matches that a lot of people know of today. And if you haven't checked out when Halloween Havoc was coming out for NXT Takeover, I did a review of Halloween Havoc matches from back in the day. And one of the matches that I watched was Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero, which was, if you've never seen that match, definitely check out that match. I wish I had seen that match live when it was taking place, because I definitely would have been watching a lot more WCW. But yeah, I was a straight up WWE girl, so I missed a lot of the storylines that people love today about WCW. I heard a little bit of some of the storylines, but I was a straight up WWE fan, so I really didn't pay attention to anything else but WWE. But that's it for the Russell Bread podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Let me give a couple of shout outs. Shout out to Julian Rob Bates from the Wrestling Court podcast on TurnerMinds.com. Keita and Jay from the Keita and Jay Show. Chris from We Talk Next podcast, which is featured on the Keita and Jay Show. Nando and Larry from Half Cave podcast. Devin and Hafiz from Clark Street Wrestling, of course. And a couple more shout outs. Hold on. Because there's some podcasts that I started listening to. Street Talk Wrestling, the Dirty Hills podcast. I should have this list a lot better next time. The Hard Camera, Top Rope. You definitely check them out on Twitter and check out their latest episodes as well. Dirty Hills, I know, has a YouTube channel, and so does Straight Talk Wrestling as well. They have a YouTube channel, and you can also listen to them on the audio as well. You can find me on Twitter at Jaydee Talks. That's Jayde Talks. Follow the podcast at WrestleBread. You click the links on the Twitter profiles. You'll find their podcast on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. You can also listen to this podcast anywhere that you listen to your podcast as well. Coming up, this is episode 98, which is crazy in itself. But coming up is episode 100, and I've decided for episode 100, I would do an Ask Me Anything, an AMA. I more likely am going to be a video live streaming as well. It's going to be live on Mixlr. Might be live on YouTube as well. I have to see, or I might just record the episode and post it on YouTube. I have to see, because things happen when you record live. And it's a lot easier to record me live on audio than it is video, because things happen. As I have a cat. If you haven't heard her in a couple of episodes, she likes to run around when I'm recording. She's probably upstairs now, but she likes to be the center of attention. But I'm doing an Ask Me Anything. You can ask me things about wrestling. You can ask me things about video games, football, whatever. You ask me something crazy, it's going to get ignored. I may put you on blast on the episode and say that you said this crazy questions, but don't ask me any crazy questions. You can ask me stuff. I'm not giving out any personal info, not giving out my phone number or my address or anything crazy like that. So don't even try, okay? But you can ask me questions, to get to know your girl a little better, and the things that I like as well. So thank you so much for listening. Be on the lookout for when I announce, that I'm taking questions. I'll be taking questions on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter through the podcast. Probably even through my Twitter as well. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, guys, peace.